Daily chances for severe weather will continue through the middle of this week, followed by a strong fall cold front, which will send temperatures tumbling across the northern and northeastern United States into this upcoming weekend, bringing likely the coldest temperatures of the season to the northeast and the Great Lakes, followed by a tropical weather update here with a major Hurricane Fiona developing across the western Atlantic as we head through this week. Welcome back, everybody. Good Monday morning to start off the work week here. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. If you guys are new to the channel and have not yet hit the subscribe button down below, definitely subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to get all of my important weather forecast updates here on this channel. Looking ahead to the weather forecast here, this afternoon we're going to see that ridge continuing across the southern United States here with the high pressure system sitting over the southern plains and the mid-south. We have a positively tilted trough here sitting across the west coast, and along the northern periphery here of this ridge, as it continues through the middle of this week, we're going to have a strong jet stream across this area here today, and this will send a couple of storm systems rounding this ridge again across the Great Lakes and into the northeast as we head into the afternoon today, which will bring the severe weather threat, and that will continue as we head toward the middle of the week. We got a trough starting to develop across the southeastern Canadian prairies, across places like Manitoba and Ontario, Canada, which will bring an even stronger jet streak across portions of the Midwest and the Great Lakes, with maybe even a more appreciable threat for severe weather as we get towards the middle of the week, as we finally have a cold front in sight across portions of southern Canada, diving southward into the Great Lakes as we head into late this week. So looking at those severe weather chances here, shall we? We have a marginal risk across northeastern portions of North Dakota, northwestern Minnesota here later on today, and also a larger marginal risk across the northeast here, including eastern Ohio, much of Pennsylvania, much of New York State, western Connecticut, western Massachusetts, and then getting up there into parts of Vermont and New Hampshire. These are areas we could see isolated strong to perhaps marginally severe thunderstorms with wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour, some quarter to half dollar size hail, and perhaps a maybe, just maybe, a brief spin-up tornado, especially across portions here of the northeast as we head into this afternoon. But as we head into your Tuesday, again, another piece of energy will move around that ridge like I was showing you here, and we have another piece of energy moving in across the Great Lakes with another marginal risk across eastern Wisconsin, far northeastern Illinois, into western lower Michigan. This includes places like Madison, Wisconsin, Milwaukee, Green Bay, and Grand Rapids, Michigan on your Tuesday. And then a more appreciable threat for severe weather is possible as we get toward the middle of the week on Wednesday, with a slight risk, a level 2 of 5 from the Storm Prediction Center across the eastern Great Lakes, across portions of western New York, northwestern Pennsylvania, far northern Ohio, and portions of the Detroit area as we head into your Wednesday afternoon. So that will be something to watch across those areas. Looking at here kind of the setup for this, we got some scattered showers and storms across the northeast this afternoon, firing up the peak heating time frame of the day between about 2 o'clock this afternoon and about 7 o'clock tonight here before sunset, and that's the most intense. We'll see the storms in that marginal risk zone. We got some heavy rainfall there as well. Up here to the north, across northeastern North Dakota, northwestern Minnesota, we got that second area of a marginal risk. A couple isolated storms could fire up there with maybe some isolated damaging wind gusts, some isolated large hail up to around quarter size, and maybe a spin-up tornado there as well. Looking ahead to your Tuesday, again, the same thing's going to play out. Another piece of energy revolving around the northern periphery of all that heat to the south, and we'll have another threat for some isolated storms. Tuesday's threat, however, is a little more conditional across Wisconsin, western lower Michigan, and extreme northeastern Illinois, just due to the fact that we will have a cap on the atmosphere on Tuesday afternoon, which may kind of limit the upward growth of some of the air parcels for these updrafts to work with on Tuesday. But as we get into Wednesday, we'll start to see a cold front move through on the base of the trough that will move through across the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes, and approaching the Northeast. And that's where we'll see a more appreciable, more widespread threat for thunderstorms and maybe some scattered severe weather across the central and eastern Great Lakes, getting into the northeast there on your Wednesday afternoon and Wednesday evening. And looking as well at that cold front, after we get through Wednesday into Thursday and Friday here, we got some cooler temperatures across the Great Lakes, across Ontario, and into the northeast with these bluer anomalies showing up. That is a stronger trough digging in with the cold front that will move through the eastern portions of the United States by the time we get into Thursday. Moving into Friday, this will continue more or less across the I-95 corridor from Boston to New York City. We have that cold front moving through your area. We'll still have a ridge continuing, but it'll flatten a little bit across portions of the Four Corners into Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas here across the deep south late in the week. So we'll still have that ridge to the south, but it will flatten some as we have that trough and that cold front diving southward towards the Tennessee Valley and the Northeast as we kind of move into late this week. And looking at those temperatures behind the cold front, very much a fall air mass around the upper Midwest here, the northern plains and the northeast and parts of the Great Lakes on Thursday. Temperatures will struggle in many areas across Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, all the way back toward the Dakotas and maybe even Nebraska to reach the middle 60s. It will be a struggle on Thursday. Just look at the low temperatures Thursday night going into your Friday morning. Some of the coldest temperatures of the season is possible as we move into Thursday night. Some of these low temperatures into the Northwoods of Wisconsin, the Arrowhead of Minnesota, the UP of Michigan, and even northern lower Michigan there could be dropping down into the upper 30s, if not lower 40s. So definitely a fall taste of weather for sure, just in time for fall equinox on Thursday, September 22nd. And looking at your Friday high temperatures here, the temperatures will start lower in the morning, so a lower springboard in which to start. So that's why we have temperatures rising into the middle 50s for highs, perhaps as far south as the Twin Cities as we head into your Friday, September 23rd. But you can definitely see that ridge is still down to the south. It's just going to flatten some with that cold front. We still got some 90s down there around the Dallas area, getting over towards Shreveport and then up toward portions there of Oklahoma City and Tulsa as well on your Friday. But looking longer range as we get toward the final few days of September, the September 24th through the 28th timeframe, we'll have a ridge and return flow across portions of the central and western United States with above normal temperatures favored across much of the Great Plains, the Rockies, and the West Coast, including the Pacific Northwest, with a ridge building in. With that trough starting to slowly exit across the eastern Great Lakes and New England, we'll still see slightly below normal temperatures favored during that time frame there. And looking at this ridge as it builds in with that return flow, getting into this upcoming weekend, we'll be talking about that here starting across the West Coast on your Saturday, September 24th. But then by the time we get into the following week, next Monday on September 26th, you can see a stronger trough diving back down across portions of the Great Lakes and the East Coast, where we have a amplifying ridge all the way northward into portions of Alberta, British Columbia there, and Saskatchewan, Canada, all the way south into the portions of the western United States and the Rockies, and another stronger storm system to the west of that. And it's what I call a squeeze play, where we have kind of a trough digging down across the northeastern Pacific Ocean. We got a trough across the East Coast, and then you have a ridge in between. So kind of a little bit of a blocking pattern starting to set up across this region as we head into early next week. And looking at the jet stream, you can definitely tell how far north that jet stream gets. That is that significant ridge I was talking about. And then you have that positively tilted trough across portions of the Aleutian Islands and into the Northeast Pacific here. That could be our next significant storm system as we turn the page into early October, potentially, as this makes inroads to the Pacific Northwest. But looking here at the tropics, we got a hurricane to talk about, and that is Hurricane Fiona across portions of the western Atlantic, crossing over portions of the eastern Dominican Republic here this morning, definitely bringing lots of heavy torrential rains, flash flooding, and mudslides and landslides, unfortunately, to Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic here in portions of the greater Antilles here this morning. That will continue into this afternoon, this evening, and kind of zooming the picture out here, you can definitely see that's really the only game in town is really the Hurricane Fiona here across portions of the greater Antilles. Not much else going on across the Atlantic here, very quiet besides that. And looking here at Hurricane Fiona, it actually looks to strengthen to major hurricane status, so at least the threshold of a Category 3 as we get into Tuesday afternoon and Tuesday evening here as it moves over the open waters once again across portions just to the east of the Bahamas and then moving up toward Bermuda. If you live near the Bermuda area or have any family friends there, definitely here call them and let them know there is a major hurricane getting very close to their area as we get towards later this week, especially Thursday evening into Friday morning. Definitely something to keep in mind, and still remaining at hurricane status all the way to Friday evening across the northwestern Atlantic Ocean. So definitely a very formidable storm for the upcoming week across the western Atlantic. Looking at the intensity forecast, most of the forecast guidance has us strengthening to that major hurricane status at a Category 3. Some of these forecast guidance here models are actually showing this getting up to a Category 4. possibly bordering on a Category 5. Now, I think that's a little overdone on some of these models. I really think a Category 3, maybe a lower end 4, Category 4 storm is very much in the cards here, but I think a Category 5 is a little bit of a stretch, but we'll continue to watch that here as we move through the next few days, especially since we got the warmer waters across the western Atlantic, all these orange shaded areas, the red shaded areas. Those are sea surface temperatures here around 80 to 85 degrees, if not a few degrees warmer than that across the western Atlantic. So that will be something to watch as the system matures. And looking at the system this afternoon, a 982 millibar low pressure center here, just moving off the island there of the Dominican Republic and moving over the open waters later on here this afternoon and tonight. And as it does, it will strengthen rapidly from a 982 millibar low to a 951 millibar low by the time we get to Wednesday afternoon and evening, and then strengthening even further here more significantly as it moves over the open waters of the western Atlantic here towards Bermuda with a 938 millibar low or thereabout as we get towards Friday, September 23rd. So that will be something to watch. Also here, a little bit of an indirect impact to the United States. The main storm system will stay well offshore here into the western Atlantic, but we will have to watch for some rip current risks and also some rough surf across portions of the outer banks of the Carolinas and up towards portions of the East Coast. So that will be something to watch with some waves moving inland here with some rip currents there by the middle and late portion of this week. Now looking here back across portions of the Eastern Pacific, it's busy here as well. We got Tropical Storm Madeleine across portions of the Eastern Pacific Ocean just south of the Baja of California. You can see these overshooting thunderstorm tops with the whites, pinks, and purples here, probably over around 50 to 60,000 feet tops here with these thunderstorm cells here across this area. Very organized system right now with the Tropical Storm Madeleine ongoing across the Eastern Pacific Ocean over those open waters, and this looks to steer more west-northwestward over the next couple of days before turning straight westward as we get through the rest of this week and kind of turning more to a post-tropical depression by the time it moves over the open waters of the Central Pacific as it moves towards next weekend. So that will be something to watch. Looking here at your Monday afternoon, we got a 995 millibar low just south of the Baja of California. This will start to weaken quickly as it encounters some more wind shear and also especially some cooler water temperatures here in the Central Pacific, here in the Eastern Pacific as well, just west of the Baja of California on your Wednesday, September 21st, and that will be something to watch. But looking overall here at the hurricane season and what is to come here, we have, looking back at the Atlantic, the Caribbean, and the Gulf, some active weather. We might have some waves continuing to move off Africa as we get through the rest of the month here of September, going into the first day or so of October. We may have to watch portions of the Caribbean and the Western Gulf here for some kind of quick moving low pressure systems that could kind of spin up very quickly into tropical depressions or tropical storms. But it's really as we get into that first full week in October, I'm getting a little more concerned about the Gulf of Mexico and perhaps closer in towards Florida and the United States. Now, it's not a done deal. It's still a far ways out, but the climate forecasting system's version 2 model is actually showing some above normal precipitation favored across much of the Western Caribbean, the Gulf, and the Western Atlantic, closer to Florida and the Gulf Coast there as we head from October 2nd through October 9th, that first full week or so of October. That will be something to watch for some tropical activity across those areas. And considering that we have a lot of warm water temperatures, especially across the Gulf and really the entirety of the Atlantic and Caribbean, we still have to watch for some major systems even as we get into October as well, as we're still in the heart of the hurricane season here across this area. Looking back here across the Eastern Pacific, I do think October is going to start quieting down. I know it's been very busy the last couple of months, kind of weird. It's been very busy with a La Nina in place. But really, I think as we get into October, we're going to start to quiet things down a little more across the Eastern Pacific. Now, that's not to say we're not going to have a tropical storm or a hurricane here from time to time, but I do think majority of these systems will kind of move back towards the area that we're more familiar with the La Nina conditions, into the Gulf, into the Caribbean, and the Atlantic. So that will be something to watch. You see a lot of brown shaded colors and yellow shaded colors here. That is drier than normal, precipitation here across portions of this area. So that is kind of some drier air moving in. And looking at the water temperatures, we still have some warmer waters up towards the coast there of Mexico into the Baja of California in October, and some cooler waters starting to trend northward during that period. So that may shut off the Eastern Pacific overall for the majority of October. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Definitely much appreciated. Remember to like the video down below by giving it a thumbs up. Leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. I'll get to those later on today. And subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thank you guys for subscribing, all the new subscribers out there. Very much appreciated. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great start to your work week on your Monday, and I'll see you all in the next video.